For the first time this season, we welcome in Matt Verderame. Does a great job over at SI. Matt Verderame Show on Patreon. Anywhere else I need to promote you?
Nah. I mean, there are other places, but that's fine. That's more than enough.
We could spend half the segment doing that. So let's talk about the most recent stuff and this story of Roger Goodell coming out and talking about the NFL eventually having teams outside the United States. Is there anything, I was thinking about this morning sitting in bed, is there anything the NFL could do that just goes too far, that it pushes fans away? Because it feels like, to me, it feels like there's nothing this league can do. There's nothing that could happen that will ultimately push fans away to the degree that it would cause them to change course, whether it's too many games,
right.
What is it?
It's a good question. I don't know that it would push fans away, but I do think that they are getting dangerously thin with their Sunday slate of games. I remember last year having many conversations with people who cover the league, not in the league, but cover it, with the idea that these Sunday slates stink. Like, you're sitting here, and it used to be, not sound like the old man screaming in a cloud, but it used to be, okay, look, you're going to have every game on Sunday except for Monday Night Football, and you're going to have Sunday Night Football, so let's even exclude that. So you have 14 games that are on Sunday afternoon. I mean, unless you had a really, really strange thing happen, you're going to have 3-4 games that are really good, that people want to watch, you're excited about. Like, when I was a kid, the Cowboys and Niners playing each other in the 90s, that game was on Sunday afternoon, always. That was the best game. Now, the best games are Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night. They'll throw a good international game at you at 8:30 in the morning if you're out in the Midwest. The first week of the season, there's Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Sunday night, Monday night. Like, I mean, at some point, it does just get to be where you're like, well, why am I paying for Sunday ticket? For what? To watch the Falcons play the Cardinals? There just does get to a juncture where I think fans are going to be turned off by that. And that being said, I don't know that would make fans stop watching. I think it'll piss fans off. I think it might hurt Sunday ticket sales. But, yeah, man, look, football has gotten to a point that if they played all their games at 10 a.m. on a Wednesday, I think they would still draw 20 million people a game watching it.
It's amazing. It's sort of, it says a lot about our addiction to football, for better or for worse. The great arms race going out there in the NFC West. You have the Rams doing what they did in the offseason, saying, screw all the draft picks. We're about winning now. We're about winning a Super Bowl. And it feels like in the last couple of weeks, the Seahawks have woken up and said, oh, we're going to get lapped here if we don't go and make some upgrades ourselves. So now they've sort of countered with a couple of moves of their own. When we get to the start of the season, and you have a Rams team that's, resting guys and basically going to flip the switch come week one, versus this Seahawks team that won a Super Bowl just a year ago, less than a year ago, obviously. When you stack these two rosters side by side, just purely rosters, and I get games aren't played on paper, what does Matt Verderame see?
I think the Rams are a significantly better team. I think the Rams are the best team in football. I don't think they're impossible to beat. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. But, look, the Rams are better at almost every position on the field at this point. Like, where are the Rams not better than the Seahawks? I don't know. They're better quarterback. They're better running back. They're better receiver. You want to talk about the offensive line? Maybe Seattle's got them in the offensive line. I could hear that. The Rams are better tight end. They have a better pass rush. You just added Myles Garrett. They're better at corner. Just better. They're better all over the place. Now, and it's not like the Rams don't have a good coach. The Rams have an excellent coach, maybe the best coach. So, look, the argument against the Rams is Stafford is almost 40 years old. the offensive line is probably the one spot that you look at and go, that could be a recipe for disaster in a playoff game. That is somebody's in. That is the way that in January the Rams lose, because some team comes in there, which they don't have any home field advantage. So any team that goes in there might have home field advantage over the Rams, noise-wise. And a team goes in there like the Eagles and just says, we can put Stafford on his ass a dozen times. That's how we're going to win the game. That's what we're going to do. The other answer is that receiver room is ultra thin behind Nakua and Adams is no young pup, and Nakua has had a very, let's call it, challenging offseason. Okay? If Nakua gets hurt or Adams gets hurt or becomes ineffective, all of a sudden they become a lot easier to defend. So I don't think there's some guaranteed team.
They're not inevitable. They're not inevitable.
They're not. Like, I lived through some of those Patriots teams where you looked at them and just went, good luck, man. I mean, I don't know. Even some of the recent Chiefs teams where you looked at them and just said, if that team's healthy, they're winning 15 games, going to the Super Bowl. Like, I don't feel like that about the Rams, but I do think they're the deserved clear favorite going into the season.
In the last 90 seconds of this segment, we're holding you over for one more. Does that division get 3 playoff teams?
It should, but my guess is no, because they're going to beat each other up. And speaking of being beat up, the Niners are already at a point where they have about 3,000 injuries, which is kind of what they do. They just have injuries every year, whether it's a substation or not. I don't know. They're just hurt constantly. The whole team's hurt. McCaffrey isn't practicing. Evans has already been beat up. He was beat up last year. He's in his 30s. Kittle's coming off the Achilles. He's hurt all the time. Like, Bosa's hurt. I can see a world where the Niners are really talented but go like 7-10 because they're just constantly hurt. So I'll say 2 teams, but in a perfect world where everybody's healthy and everything else, I mean, they should get 3, but I'll say they get 2.
All right. In the last 20 seconds, how many weeks before Carson Beck is starting in Arizona?
God. I mean, that's a question I haven't been asked yet. 8?
All right. 8. We'll set the over-under at 7.5.
They'll play him because why not? But I got to tell you, if your answer to this season is like, hey, Carson Beck, it's probably not going to go well.
All right. We got more to do with our friend Matt Verderame. Does a great job over at SI, the Matt Verderame Show on Patreon. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to do. I've always found when a guest says, well, there's a question nobody's asked me, it means they hated the question. And I think Matt Verderame just gave me one of those.
I actually enjoyed it in the sense, like, I feel like whenever I go on the radio or TV, I get asked the same dozen questions about the season. And I appreciate that you were thinking about Arizona Cardinals fans. And
we're on in Phoenix, man. They love us down there in Phoenix. Arizona family sports.
I appreciate a question that's not just like, so, who's under the most pressure this year? Which is fine. It's a fair question, but it's a question I get every day.
Yeah, I mean, look, we all know the answer to that. It's Sean McVay, of course. But are you going to give me somebody else? You give me Brian Schottenheimer in Dallas because of all the upgrades they made on the defensive side of the ball? Now you just asked the question. I will make you answer it.
My answer is always the same thing. I think it's either Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. I think and I've said that answer for 3 years now. I mean, it's, hey man, you gonna win anything? Like, we live in this weird world that our brethren in the media love to just turn Josh Allen into the greatest quarterback that's ever played the sport. He's not. He's a great player. He's currently Warren Moon or Dan Fouts.
I was going to say, is he this generation's version of Dan Marino, I would have said.
No, to me, he's not. Like, Dan Marino threw for 5,000 yards in 1984. He had 48 touchdowns. Dan Marino put up numbers we'd never seen before. Josh Allen hasn't done that. Josh Allen is not the great statistical quarterback of this era. It's Mahomes. And Mahomes also has won nonstop, which Allen has done none of. Like, Allen's a great player. He's won nothing. Forget even a Super Bowl. He's never gotten a Super Bowl. He's got the 2 AFC title games. Everybody talks about Lamar Jackson being a big choker. Lamar Jackson's gone to 1. So Allen's gone to 1 more than him. Allen is now on his second head coach, as is Lamar. Allen has been surrounded by some pretty damn good players throughout the course of his career. Number one defenses, all-pro receivers, good tight end rooms, great offensive lines, a rushing champion. You ever going to win? You're going to do, I mean, because otherwise, to me, you are the Warren Moon, the Sonny Jurgensen, who, listen, those guys are in the Hall of Fame. They're great players. But I got to tell you, if you and I sat down in a conversation with the greatest quarterbacks of all time, it'd take a long damn time to get to Sonny Jurgensen. You know what I mean? Like, it just would. It wouldn't take a while to get to Brady. It wouldn't take a while to get to Montana or Mahomes. It would take a long time to get to the Sonny Jurgensens of the world, the Bob Waterfields of the world. That's where Josh Allen's sitting. So if you don't win something, like, is that ever going to change?
Are you buying into the hype on the Cowboys? Because I am, given what they've done defensively to this team. If you believe, that Dak Prescott could put together back-to-back good seasons and not have one season where he's hurt, one season where he's ineffective, one season where he's great, and then, sort of revolve those around, are you buying into Dallas, and to what level are you buying in on Dallas?
I am buying into Dallas, which scares the hell out of me. Because
I am too, though.
Look, the Cowboys' offense might be the best offense in the NFL. There's not a weak spot. They're really good to great everywhere. Defensively, you add a couple of first-round picks. I loved Caleb Downs coming out, so I'm super high on him. You get Rashawn Gary in the building. Now, you lose Digazua, who you traded to the Niners, which is good for the Niners because he might be the last man standing at the rate that thing's going. They bring in Christian Parker to replace Eberflus at DC. Mm-hmm. And that division's not that good. Like, I think the Giants are improved, but, listen, I think it probably takes a couple years for where they really want to be. Tunzel getting hurt for the Commanders is a killer. And I like the Eagles in a sense. I know what I'm getting infrastructure-wise with them. I also think the Eagles at this point are like maybe a 10-win team. Like, I don't love that team as much as I did. I like them. So I am buying the Cowboys. I think they're going to win the division. I think this ceiling's probably somewhere they haven't been in 30 years, which is the NFC title game. I still have a hard time, even with the improvements defensively, thinking that team's going to win 3 playoff games in a row. It's kind of how I feel about the Bengals. It's like, are the Bengals really going to run the table with that defense in the AFC? Like, probably not. But I think Dallas could win a playoff game or 2, which is something I haven't felt about the Cowboys in a long time.
How much is the league cringing when it sees Jackson Dart criticizing the blue tent?
Cringing. Look, if that was one of the big time quarterbacks in the league, probably more so. I will say this: it's got to be one of the least aware things a human being's ever said at an NFL podium, right? Like, this is the 6th time he's been a 10 being evaluated for a concussion, and he's standing up there essentially saying, "I just don't understand what the problem is." It's like, well, Jackson, I think the problem's you, buddy. Like, you can't stop getting just crushed. Now, to be fair on this one, this wasn't his fault. They just didn't block somebody. Yeah. Just cream.
Yeah, Tracy.
But, yeah. I mean, Tracy's got to slide over and he gets just destroyed. I mean, that's not on Jackson Dart. But Jackson Dart's saying something that you're looking at him in the moment thinking, like, are you, like, fully coherent to say that? Like, what? That was a little bit of sad irony there. But, yeah, look, I think it's something that, whether he likes it or not, he's going to be in that tent a decent amount if he keeps playing the way he's playing. I mean, if he continues to play with reckless abandon, he is going to be evaluated. This isn't the 90s where some guy would just get absolutely unloaded on and then be like, yeah, that's okay. Like, they're going to check you.
On the Baker Mayfield front in Tampa, how sort of acrimonious has this become, and how much does it threaten to sort of bleed into the season and what that team hopes to accomplish?
I saw them a week ago, and listen, I mean, it's kind of hard to judge the acrimony of the practice or anything else, but I mean, my understanding of it is, listen, I mean, he's pissed, which, okay. I mean, he has, I guess, a right to be pissed. I don't know why he's that pissed off, though, quite honestly. They gave him a contract and nobody else would a few years ago. He stunk last year. They went 8-9. And they went 3-8 in their last 11 games, and he threw 14 touchdowns and 10 picks over that stretch. He was horrendous. Like, they fell apart. He fell apart. He's 32 years old. I mean, they didn't win the NFC South last year. You know how hard that is to not win that division? And they managed not to do it. It could bleed into the season. And listen, they lost Evans. Ibuka's already hurt. He's dealing with the toe injury. Um, I think that if he doesn't have a good year, he's gone. And frankly, if I'm the Bucks, I don't blame Jason. I think they did the smart thing not signing him, because if he does play well, okay, you can tag him and then either just leave him on a tag or sign him. And if he doesn't play well, then you can move on and go into this generational quarterback class, go get somebody. Because if he doesn't play well and you extended him, now you're screwed.
Right.
Now you can't go get one of these quarterbacks. You still have him. The team's falling. I think the Buccaneers, quite honestly, are one of these teams. They need a youth movement in the worst way. Them in Pittsburgh, two of them.
Matt Verderame, SI, also the Matt Verderame Show on Patreon. Couple more questions for him on YouTube. We're coming back. We haven't mentioned the Chiefs at all. And that is your bailiwick, so to speak. So give me a thought here on sort of Kansas City, where they sit as we're early in the preseason. The idea of Justin Fields, will Mahomes be ready for week 1? The vibe around this team, trying to make, I guess, one last run with the combination of Kelsey and Mahomes. And, you have the Bieniemy stuff that happens before any preseason games happen, which is just awful, with their son shooting the mother. The vibe around this Chiefs team right now as you see it.
So, all right, let's go step by step.
Sure.
Justin Fields, the idea of Justin Fields, that's exactly what it's going to be, because Justin Fields is going to be on the bench barring disaster. They've internally felt like Mahomes was going to be ready for week 1. In fact, they felt extremely confident that he basically was ready for week 1 by about Memorial Day. So I think if they had played a game June 30th, he would have played.
Really?
Yeah, really. Like, genuinely, if they had played a game like July 4th weekend, he would have been playing. I feel pretty confident saying that. Maybe they would tell you, oh, no, it would have had to be mid-July. Fine. He would have been ready to go, and it would have just been a question of, like, the doctors had medically cleared him, which at this point, he's been cleared now since before camp. This is a team that is going to be very much determined by their young players, their rookie class. They had 3 picks in the first 40 picks. Mansour Delane, who they have extremely high hopes for. He was a 6th overall pick. He came out of, he'd been dealing with a shoulder blade injury. He's now out of his non-contact jersey. He's out practicing. He's been very, very impressive for them in what he's done so far at camp. Peter Woods, I talked to somebody there a week ago who said Peter Woods has been one of the best players in training camp, like, forget rookies, just in general. And then our Mason Thomas had a very good first preseason game. And yet all those guys probably pale in comparison to their 5th-round rookie receiver, Cyrus Allen, who has been the best receiver they've had in camp, including Rice, including Worthy. He's been fantastic. Look, all that is to say, these are still rookies, and they still have to prove themselves, and they are going to be thrust into real roles on this team. Those guys I just mentioned, those 4 guys, those guys are starting level players for this team immediately. This is not going to be like, oh, you're going to get your feet wet and we'll see you in week 12. No, you're going to play now. Assuming health from Mahomes and everything's good this year, like, I think they're about a 12-win team. I don't think they're going 15-2 or 14-3. I don't think they're going to be 9-8. I think they're going to win that division. I think it'll be a battle with them in Denver. I think week 1's going to show you quite a bit. They play each other Monday night at Arrowhead. I'll be at that game for Sports Illustrated. I think their offense is going to take a massive jump this year based on the fact that Kenneth Walker is the first running back Mahomes has ever really had in his career. He's never had a 1,000-yard running back in his career.
That's still a remarkable stat unto itself. That this guy, it's crazy.
Other than 1 year of Pacheco, I don't even think they've ever had a 700-yard rusher.
It's amazing.
They've never been able to run the football. And I can't express to people how much the difference of having Eric Bieniemy and not Matt Nagy is going to make for that offense. It is. Let's put it this way. They were talking about needing more accountability in December before the season ended internally. And I was at the Bears-Rams playoff game when the Bears lost. Bieniemy might have been out of that stadium and on a plane faster than I was that night. Like, that was, I mean, The Chiefs basically were like, the second your season's over, come home. And that was it. So, no, listen, I don't think there's some inevitable team by any stretch. I think the AFC is extremely wide open. But I think they're there with the Bills and the Broncos and the Ravens and the Texans and the Pats and all those teams. I think, how's it shake? I think a lot of it for the Chiefs is how good are your rookies?
Yeah, see, I think there's some regression this year.
I do too.
Especially with the schedule and everything. Yeah, you have to respect them, but I think they go backwards.
What do you think the Broncos or the Chiefs win the AFC West? I'm curious. The AFC West odds are crazy. Also, I guess throw the Chargers in there because the Chargers are actually getting better odds than the Broncos are.
If you made me bet your money on it, I'll take the Chiefs to win the division. But I'd also say be careful not to, you said we're going to learn a lot in week one. How much do you really learn in week one? Because I had this conversation with Bill Bender from the Sporting News yesterday. And he's like, the big matchup it's going to tell us a lot is Ohio State and Texas in week 2. And I'm like, yeah, but what a team looks like in week 2, which, usually week 1's a throwaway game anyway, so it's your first real game, is a lot different than what you are later in the season. And I'd rather have a team peaking. Who does that, and then the question becomes, who does that game, that week 1 matchup between the Chiefs and Broncos, who does it actually mean more to? I think it means more for the Broncos mentally. Because if they go in there and get pistol whipped in week 1, it could set the tone for, oh no, versus where if you're the Chiefs and you lose week 1 with Mahomes coming off injury, you lose a close game, you're kind of like, okay, depending on sort of the flow and the way the game is played, I feel like it means more to the Broncos in week 1 than it does the Chiefs.
You could argue it. The game's at Arrowhead, so I'll say it means more to the Chiefs. But I agree with you though in this sense. If the Chiefs, and I don't expect this to happen. I think it'll be a really close game one way or the other. But if the Chiefs just lay waste to Denver in that game, like if that's just one of those games where, look, Mahomes is back, Arrowhead's on fire, Kenneth Walker, all this, and the Chiefs just beat him 34-16 or something. Like they just come out and you're like, oh my God. If they have a kind of game where like Tuesday morning, everybody and their mother's like, oh my God, did you see what happened? Then I think if you're Denver, it does put it in the back of your mind, like, oh no. Like this is not good. But the reason I think that game's a big game is the Chiefs win that game. Their next 3 games are Indianapolis, Miami, and the Raiders. Yeah. They could be 4-0 and gone. And Denver's 5 games after that, something like Jacksonville, the Rams, the Niners, the Seahawks, and then there's another hard game in there. And it's like that's the kind of thing where the Chiefs could be 4 games 6 weeks into the year, and you're like, see ya.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So I think in that regard, it's bigger for Denver because the Chiefs will make up the ground as the year goes on. But man, like if Denver loses that game, the Chiefs could just by the end of September, you could just be sitting there going, yeah, it's gonna be tough.
-2, and by the way, -2.5 in that game on the week 1 line. Chiefs -2.5, which seems that seems low to me. I've
seen 2.5 and 3, but yeah, look, the biggest problem Denver I think is gonna have in that game is the emotion of that game.
Yeah.
Mahomes coming back, and look, if you want to talk, when's the last time the Chiefs have been that motivated for a regular season game? 10 years ago?
Right.
Like, I've asked people about this. Like, when is the last time the Chiefs played a regular season game they really gave a crap about? Because I've been there for when they dropped banners, and they played the Lions and the Raiders, and, like, it was cool, and it was football. Like, there wasn't anybody going, man, they're going to be on fire coming out for this game.
Right.
This game, that might be a little different.
How's Kelsey look? How's Kelsey looked in camp?
It's the same joke the last 3 years. Just, running around, giving like that old man at the Y move that like just gets open and people can't figure out how. Like Kelsey's incredible at just being able to run 10 miles an hour and just juke himself wide open. Listen, Jason, he'll have 80 catches for 850 yards. And like, that's just what he does. Like, he'll just, he doesn't move fast enough to get hurt anymore. So, like he's one of those guys like the pitchers we grew up with where guys just never got hurt because they were so out of shape. They're like, like you got a rubber arms, like Phil Necro out there just wailing the ball in for 8,000 innings a year. That Kelsey's and he's not actually, to be fair, he's not out of shape. I think he was a few years ago, but he's not that. But like he'll he'll run 10 miles an hour the whole game, and he'll give a guy a shimmy, and Mahomes knows exactly where he's going to be, and he'll hit him for 9 yards on 3rd and 7.
One last one. How many games? And you grew up a Giants fan. Now you're back in the Northeast. So I'll ask you this: how many games do the Giants have to win in year one of Harbaugh to sort of validate this move and start building that momentum to where they hope to be?
Well, it's been a long time since they've been really a factor.
They had the 1 year with Daniel Jones and Brian Dable, and that was it.
I think depending on how it looks, 7 to 8. If they go 7 and 10, but they're playing a lot better at the end of the year, and you really feel like they've got the quarterback and they've got some infrastructure, I think if you're a Giants fan, okay. If they won 8, I think you'd be like, hey, this is great. We're essentially a 500 team. Okay. Anything more than that's awesome. But yeah, I think, this is going to be a multi-year rebuild, but I think Harbaugh's a real coach. They've been cycling through these guys who it's just okay, Joe Judge, come on now. Stop. Even Dable. I thought Dable was right, but Dable, there's a certain temperament you have to have. And it doesn't mean you have to be a quiet guy. It doesn't mean you have to be a loud guy, but you do have to be somewhat mentally even-keeled. You just have to be. That's the job. Even as, Parcells was a maniac. But in the end, once he stopped, he was still on the plane he needed to be. Plus, he had one of the greatest coaching staffs ever around him. That doesn't hurt. I'd say 7 to 8 games would be my answer for the Giants.
Are you a believer that Jackson Dart is the guy, that guy? At the end of the first 3 years of John Harbaugh, are we going to be saying, yeah, they got it right with Jackson Dart? Or are you still in this sort of uncertain?
I still want to see it.
Yeah, so
I like what I've seen. I still want to see. I don't always love some of the the press conference. It's Jackson, come on, man. What? But I think the talent's there. I will say, though, that this is going to be the more instructive year because now teams have had a little tape. Teams are going to go to school. I always think of the old story of Rick Meyer when he came out with Seattle. And, of course, he was number 1 pick. This big, strong kid. And he had a pretty good start to his career. And I forget who the coordinator was. There was a defensive coordinator in the NFL who was like, you ever notice you can't throw to his left? And teams started loading up their defenses on the right side of the field. And his career just fell apart. That was it. He just could not throw a ball to the left side of the field. Now, I think Jackson Dart can throw a ball to the left side of the field. But my point is, sometimes teams adjust, and that exposes a problem that can or can't be corrected depending on what it is. But I am bullish on Dart. I'm not completely sold yet, but I'm bullish on him.
Matt Verderame does an amazing job over at SI on all things football. Also helping us out on the show. And check out the Matt Verderame show over on Patreon as well. Look forward to talking to you when we can throughout the season, my friend. All the best to you, and we look forward to talking soon.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Take care.